Well, good Saturday morning to you. Welcome to the Morning Touch. I'm Darwin Campbell. The Morning Touch is brought to you by the Chapter for the Homeless and the FSBC in Glendale. I'm thankful that you joined us. I want you to encourage other people to join us. And please, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I want to talk to you this morning about a very heartfelt story. And it's really not a story so much as it is the truth about something, an event in my life. I was raised by my grandparents. I've told you that before. A lot of things she did to raise me, to bring me to where I am today. And I'm very, very thankful that she put the time and the care and the love and the work in on this stubborn little nappy-headed boy growing up at a time when so much was going on, where we could have been detoured and redirected and led in wrong directions. But it was my grandmother that made the difference in my life. And I am thankful to God that I was able to be raised by such a godly woman with a godly heart and a giving spirit and the humility that only this book could have shown. But one of the most important things that my grandmother did for me, I'm going to share with you. But first, the Morning Touch is brought to you by the Chapter for the Homeless and the FSBC in Glendale. I want you to think with me and walk with me through this story because this is very important. The most important thing my grandmother did for me was the talk. I call it the talk. It was a discussion. Her and I, eye to eye, one-on-one, the talk. Most of us would consider the talk one of the most important things in our lives because, that's when our fathers sit down with us and talk about the birds and the bees, or they talk to us about what you want to be or where you want to go to college, or they talk to us about what type of political aspirations that we may have, Democrat or Republican. But my friends, when my grandmother sit down with me, it was not about the birds and the bees. It was not about selecting a mate. It was not about who I wanted to be. It was not about where I wanted to go to college. It was not about whether I was going to be a Democrat or a Republican. When she sat down with me, she sat down, and with those eyes and that humble heart, I could see the love of God in her eyes, her concern for one thing. It was my soul. She was concerned about my soul. She went to the book of Isaiah and she read this. Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, and yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. All like sheep have gone astray. We have turned away, everyone to his own way. And the Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all. When she read that, I, as a young man, did not understand what all of that meant. But today, as I stand here, she read Isaiah chapter 53, verses 4 through 6 to help me begin the process of understanding the importance of my soul. She wanted me to see the importance of giving my life to Jesus Christ. Sure, she shared Romans 3:23, which talks about all fallen short, none of us being righteous, no, not one. Sure, she talked to me about Romans 6:23, the wages of sin is death, but it wasn't those verses that I remember. I remember her reading about Isaiah, the suffering servant, talking about the foretelling or the forecoming of Jesus Christ, and how this Jesus Christ would bear witness, and how he would be bruised and mistreated and stricken down for someone like myself. How I have walked astray from the will of God, not knowing that there was an answer, not knowing that there was a gift, not knowing that there was a way, that Jesus Christ was the way, the truth, and the life. My grandmother took the time to talk to this teenage boy about his soul. It is the most important thing I believe she ever done. She shared the love of Jesus with me from her heart. And then she talked about John 3:16, where she said, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Mind you, my grandmother was not a preacher. She did not yell at me. She sat down eye to eye, and I could literally see through her soul as she shared with tears in her eyes a desire for me to come to know Jesus. She did not push me. She did not yell at me. She did not pronounce the hell charge upon me. She simply let me know that Jesus Christ died for my sins, and that he died because he loves me so much. And she went from there with tears in her eyes and say, listen, I want you to understand this. You got to do it right. She said, you got to do it right the first time, because there are no do-overs, comebacks, or second chances. She shared the love of Jesus like I've never heard it before. No preacher has been able to touch me like my grandmother touched me that day. I remember what she said. She talked about Proverbs 27:1. Boast not thyself on tomorrow, for you don't know what tomorrow will bring. She shared with me 2 Corinthians 5:10, the fact that one day I would be held accountable for all of the things that I said, all of the things I've done, all of the ways I've treated people. She says all the small and the large things will be brought before God to be judged. And she spoke to me out of love and care and concern. My friends, have you had the talk? Has someone sit down with you and poured out their heart to you about how concerned they are about your life, your living, and your soul? My grandmother did. She was never too busy to talk to you about Jesus Christ. I remember how she read 2 Corinthians 5:10 and Ecclesiastes 12:13. She says, listen, son, I want you to understand, we all are going to stand there one day. We all are going to give account of what we do in our bodies, whether it's good or whether it's evil. My grandmother was as honest as it came. I am so thankful that God exposed me to that woman, because she made a difference in my life. Now, I will tell you, with all of her appeals that day about accountability and no second chances, that particular day, when she shared with me that no day is promised, not to boast myself on tomorrow, she let me know from Hebrews 9:27 that I and everyone else, we've got one time to die, and after this, the judgment. Even through all of her appeals, this young teen did not listen. I didn't listen at the time. I respected her and I heard everything she said. But that day, I did not listen. I respected her and I love her for her concern and her care for me, wanting the best for me, giving me the talk, the most important talk of my life. But that day, it didn't ring a bell. It didn't chime. It didn't click. My friends, shortly thereafter, it hit home. My best friend in high school, Don, was killed suddenly and quickly in a car accident. Oh, we were in driver's ed together. We drove in the same car together. We talked about our lives and what we wanted to do with our lives and how we wanted to live and just be set up for a lifetime. On that day, Don crossed the railroad track with his car, the car he had purchased. We both were working, and he had a car and I had a car. He crossed the railroad tracks. Unfortunately, there was a train coming. That train struck Don's car, cut it in two, cut him in two, killed him instantly. And my best friend was gone, gone from the earth. I don't know if Don had the talk or not. I don't know if he accepted Jesus Christ or not. But all of what my grandmother told me that day came back when Don was killed. Gone. No comebacks. No second chances. Appointed unto man once to die, after this the judgment. All of those plans, all of that happiness, all of that promise, gone in an instant. The train struck his vehicle and Don was gone that quick into eternity. My friends, that got my attention. Everything my grandmother told me about Jesus came back. Borne our griefs, carried our sorrows, wounded for our transgressions, bruised for our iniquities. Chastisement of peace was upon him. We've gone like sheep our own way, but the Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all. My friends, it came back and it came home, and I became a child of God. I became a Christian. I accepted Christ. Because at that point, when Don died, I understood that this life, be it filled with troubles and sorrows here below, this life is limited, is temporary, and that we are going somewhere someday. My friends, as I close this, I want to ask you, have you been given the talk today by your mother, your father, your grandparent? By someone who loves you and cares for you, by someone who wants you to be saved, my friends. Have you been given the talk? It is the most important information that you can get in all of your life. Whether it came at 17, 27, 37, 47, 59, or 72, the talk is still important. And if you are breathing and you've not accepted Christ, the talk needs to ring in your heart. Thank God for my grandmother for giving me the talk. She took time because she loved me and she cared. And here I am today, sharing this very important story with you. Too many people get the talk and they're not hearing it. Too many people get the talk and they're not listening. It is the most important moment of your life. When the appeal is made, don't neglect it. When you hear this truth, don't ignore it. It can make a difference in your life. I'm so sorry that Don is not here today. I'm so sorry his life was cut short so quickly. But I am thankful that the talk saved my life. Because when what happened to Don, it got my attention. And if we're not for the talk from my own grandmother, who knows where I would be right now. My friends, if you need more information about the talk, or if you sit down in prayer and recollection about the talk that was made to you, do something about it before it's too late. No one's trying to preach at you. No one's trying to to proselytize you. They simply want you to understand that there is a God who sent his son. There is a God who loves you. There is a God who cares for you. And that person that shared the talk with you loves you enough, just like my grandmother, to try to make a difference in your life and to change your direction. Listen to the talk. The Morning Touch is brought to you by the Chaplain for the Homeless and the FSBC in Glendale. I thank my grandmother for taking the time to give me the talk. And I hope, trust, and pray that you'll go back and you'll thank the person who sat down with you and gave you the talk. It is life-changing. It is soul-saving. It is eternity preparation. And I pray to God that you will respond to the talk. See you next time on The Morning Touch. God bless you.